Alright, quick update on OGN. So, as of the time of recording this, you can see that we have now fallen out of the side of this asymmetrical triangle that we were talking about in the previous video. So, what are we going to do now? Let's talk about it. First of all, let's jump into the lower time frames and see how bad this break below was. Well, you can see previously this was a decent area of support. We came and bounced, and on the upside you can see we've got multiple bounces in this asymmetrical triangle pattern. Now, in the past 12 hours, we've had a breakdown. We moved up to this previous support, which is now flipped as resistance. We confirmed it as resistance, opened a new 4-hourly and fell off the table. So this is unfortunately a confirmed breakdown. For those of you who are new to my OGN videos, I first got in a trade for OGN when we were down here, when this daily squeeze, not the squeeze bomb rather, when the daily EMA ribbons flipped bullish. These say they fire around about 36, but we got in around 33 to 36 cent. We have been riding it since then. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know we got in here. We took our first bit of profit when we came up to the 80 cent region, and we said that we plan on taking the rest of the profit when we come up to $1, if we do come up to $1. However, we're seeing a lot of chop action right now. I'm not really liking what we're seeing with the chart setup on OGN. I'm almost somewhat tempted to move my stop loss up so I get liquidated at this moment in time. However, if we do come down, you know, this is your last line in the sand at this point. If you do come down, we do have a 618 sitting at 47.22 cents. So the only reason I'm not closing my stop loss is because there's still one area that where we could pump from my stop loss. So my stop loss is down here at 44 cent. We could still come down to 47.2 and then have a rally later on. You know, your technicals are still there. However, we are losing momentum on the squeeze bomb. If we look at the daily squeeze bomb, we tried to flip into the bullish side of things, and we've lost all of our momentum when we were meant to be, you know, picking up and turning back bullish. So unfortunately, you know, OGN is really, it should have had its moment to shine. In my opinion, we should have already been up here at $1, but we're chopping around in this accumulation range. The 618 is your absolute last line in the sand. And like I said, before I recorded this video, or before I started recording, should I say, I looked at this chart and really thought about, you know, moving my stop loss up and, you know, having myself maybe be liquidated in a market order, because, you know, like I said, we got in on this bullish momentum flip. Even if we go up to my stop loss, that's a 23% increase. And bear in mind, if you were with me from my original OGN trades down here, we were up 127% when we did take profit on this trade. So this is definitely still a win, even if we do get stopped out. However, like I said, you know, I don't like having to flip to a somewhat bearish stance, but do bear in mind this is something that I hold. So, you know, I'm just being honest with what I see. We've got M patterns, we've broken below the daily EMAs, you've got miniature M patterns as well. So I'm seeing a lot of these M's, we're just M'ing out. There's tons of M's all over the chart, which is not what you want to see. The daily squeeze mob heading right down. 4-hourly is currently coming up to reset the bearish momentum, which can go either way. It either means that the bulls are about to take control of the trend, which would line up with the bullish theory that we could have a bounce on the 618. But if we do come down to the 618 and we start chopping around and losing it, we're going to come right down to my stop loss. I'm going to get liquidated, and the bearish momentum is going to continue to the downside. And normally when this happens, if I can find an example, yeah, here we go. Here you can see. So what normally happens is, if you do reset your bearish momentum, what normally happens is your next bearish wave is normally just slightly more engulfing than the previous one. These ones were basically the exact same. In fact, it actually looks like the one to the left was more bearish than this one. However, as a general rule of thumb, most of the time it is more bearish slash bullish. You can see here we had a bullish momentum reset, and once we reset it, we were able to have an even bigger push up. So that is definitely something we could be getting worried for on OGN. Like I said, I'm not going to be putting a stop loss in my trade, because there's only two areas where I see a stop loss playing out. or free technically. So number one, I could keep it where I've got it right now on this wick down here. In my opinion, if we come down to this wick, we're done. We're wicking below the 618. We're coming back to the lows when we should really be going back to your highs. And at which point, you know, a breakdown of this region could be very, very nasty. Number two as well, I could move it up to the 618 Fibonacci right here, but then like I said, it's still possible we could come down to this 618 and then have a bounce, and then I would be getting stopped out just before we initiate a trend. Or I could move my stop loss up to here, but like I said, we could come down to the 618 and have a bounce. So like I said, from when we initially got in this trade, we are up a decent amount no matter what happens. We've already secured the profit up here at 80 cents. So I consider this trade a win. It is obviously definitely a win. I mean, collectively 120% and then a 25 or whatever percent. Do bear in mind, I only sold 50% of my bags up here, and I'll be selling another 50% on the stop loss. So it won't entirely be like a 120% trade. It'll be slightly less than that when you average it all out. But nonetheless, OGN breaking down, not looking good. Your oscillators are getting beat down into the dust in the lower time frames. However, your higher time frames, they're very overextended. So that is something to be very, very cautious of. We're extremely overextended from this bounce, and you know, we're not really consolidating. We're kind of just chopping everyone out. So I really don't like the setup we're seeing on OGN. However, like I said, my stop loss remains down here at approximately 44.39. If you want the approximate value, just come down to wherever this wick is on TradingView. So that is all I've got for you for OGN. Once again, not a good setup we're seeing right now. In the smaller time frame, you know, we've got these lower highs. We haven't really put in another low. I mean, you could argue we've got a low here and a low here, and if we are going to continue with the trajectory, then we are about to come down, wipe out my stop loss, and move down to maybe somewhere like 36 or so. Let's see what happens. I'm not planning on taking profit on my OGN right now. I'd rather be stopped out in a loss, not in a loss, in profit down here, just in case we do have that market reversal. And also your weekly squeeze mom is still having a bullish momentum shift. However, like I said, this really all does depend on how we do come down to these lower price targets and react to these regions right now. We need to come down and have a huge reversal. We've already done chopping, we've already accumulated to the side. It is time that we started to move up. Bitcoin is also down in the dumps a little bit, so I imagine this is making it hard for a lot of cryptos like OGN to start gearing up for these bullish moves. So that is all I see for OGN. You can also see lower highs on the squeeze mom, meaning whenever you do have these bullish phases, they're getting weaker and weaker. And on the bear side of things, these bearish moves, they're getting more and more bearish. So not liking what we're seeing with OGN, however, my stop loss stands as where it was before. That is all I've got for you today. As always, none of this is financial advice. It is just my opinion on the market. If you do want to come over and join the Cowboy Discord, the link will be in the description of this video. It is just a place where the community can chat, share memes, and have a laugh. Yeah, that's all I've got for you. Once again, Cowboy out, not financial advice. And as always, peace.